Hey entrepreneurs, it's Sam Day here from Day Tips, and in this video I'm speaking about how search engine optimization works, or SEO. Now, a lot of you guys have websites and you're selling products or offering services through your website, and you want your website showing up higher in the search engines like Google, Yahoo and Bing when your potential customers are performing searches that relate to your business. So first and foremost, what exactly is SEO? Well, SEO is the art of manipulating your website in such a way that appeases the major search engines. What does that actually mean? And how can you perform SEO effectively on your website? And what are some of the things that you need to keep in mind? One of the most fundamental aspects of search engine optimization is keywords. So your keywords is a word or a phrase that you want your website to show up for in the major search engines. So let's say, for example, you are selling basketballs on your website. You might want to show up when someone types in basketball in Google. Now, there are two main types of keywords that you should be aware of. The first main type is known as a short tail keyword. This is a keyword that is short in nature. It tends to be very vague, and there tends to be a lot of search traffic for that keyword. So a lot of people are actively searching that keyword, but at the same time, because it's so vague, it's a very competitive keyword as well. And usually, especially if you are a new website and a new business, it's going to be really difficult to rank for these types of keywords. The second type of keyword, which is more realistic to rank for, is known as a long tail keyword. So a long tail keyword is longer, more detailed, more descriptive, and it tends to be less competitive. Now, although long tail keywords tend to drive less traffic, so less people are actively searching Google using long tail keywords, so those keywords drive less traffic, but they are a lot more realistic, especially for newer websites to actually go for, to actually rank for. So an example of a short tail keyword might be something like basketball. Basketball is very vague, it's not very descriptive. You know, a basketball comes in many different sizes, many different colors, many different brands. And if you are creating a website and trying to rank in Google for the keyword basketball, unless you are an extremely big website, then it's going to be hard for you to even get anywhere near the first page of Google. However, if you went for a longer tail keyword and you are more descriptive about the basketball, maybe the color, maybe the brand, maybe something specific, who's it for? Is it for children's? Is it a children's basketball? Is it a basketball for adults? You know, be as descriptive and as detailed as possible. And when you have a longer tail keyword, then that just makes it a lot easier to start ranking in Google. You can utilize tools such as the Google Keyword Planner tool, which is absolutely free. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. And this allows you to do some keyword research. Now you can see how many searches per month a particular keyword is getting. And so you're not wasting your time trying to rank for a keyword that no one is actually using or no one is actually searching. Now there are a bunch of other tools as well. You have Longtail Pro. If you haven't used Longtail Pro before, it allows you to discover long tail keywords that potentially have a good amount of search traffic that is also realistic for you to rank for. With the Google Keyword Planner tool, it's a little bit more difficult to find longer tail keywords, but with Longtail Pro and tools such as Usability from Neil Patel, you can use these kinds of tools to do a little bit of keyword research and really identify what are the keywords that you should be focusing on for your website. So once you have your keywords and you know what keywords are driving a good amount of traffic, you've got some long tail keywords that you're more likely to rank for, then where do you place those keywords on your website? Keyword placement is super important, and it helps to let both the search engines but also your website visitors know what the page is all about that they are currently looking at. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is that Google and other major search engines, they don't rank entire websites. They rank individual web pages. So what this means is every page on your website is a new opportunity for you to be discovered in the search engines for a different keyword. So let's say, for example, you have 100 pages on your website and each and every page is optimized for a different keyword. Again, going back to my basketball as example, if you have 100 products, then you can optimize each product page for a different keyword that is specific to that product. So one product might be a black basketball, maybe the other product is an orange basketball, maybe the other one is a skills basketball or something like that. And you can optimize all of these different pages for the keyword that is relevant to that specific page. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that your keyword is in the URL of the web page in question. So whatever long tail keyword you have, make sure that you adjust the URL so that the URL actually has the keyword containing it. So let's say your website is yourwebsite.com/your-keyword. So if your keyword is made up of more than one word, then you can use a hyphen instead of using a space, because Google cannot identify spaces and you can't leave a space anyway in your URL. So if you leave a hyphen between each and every word that your keyword is made up of, then Google will see that as different words and identify that as your entire keyword. So as well as being in your URL, you also want to make sure that your keyword is in your heading 1 tag. So whatever platform you're using, whether it be WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, you can actually adjust your text settings when you're creating that specific page. And there should be an option for heading 1. This is basically the title of the page. So you want to make sure that your keyword is somewhere within your title of the page, again, so that Google know what this page is about, so they know where to rank it in their search engine. As well as this, if you can, then have it in your heading 2 tag as well as a subtitle. This works in a similar way to the heading 1 tag, and you might not want to use the exact keyword here, but in your subtitle, you might want to use a variation of your keyword, and that can kind of help to make your page a little bit more readable as well, because readability is a really important aspect of SEO too. If possible, you want to make sure that you have your keyword scattered around the body of that page as well, within the text of that page too. And again, you're going to use your exact keyword, but also you're going to use variations of your keyword on that page as well. So I wanted to go to Google and give you guys a little bit of an example. So I've typed in best basketball shoes for jumping, and one of the results that comes up fairly highly in Google is this result right here, which says best basketball shoes 2021 top picks for jumping. So it has quite a lot of my keywords here in the meta title, and it also has my keywords in the meta description, best basketball shoes for jumping. So your meta title is the title that shows up within Google, and your meta description is the description that shows up within Google, as you can see in this example here. And you can change the meta title and meta description of your page when you're editing and creating your website. So when I click on this page, it takes me to the page itself, and as you can see, it has some of the keywords in the URL, as we've mentioned as well. So this is their website domain, and as you can see, it says /real-kit/best-basketball-shoes-outdoor. So it has a lot of the keywords that I searched for in the URL. So that just indicates to Google, okay, this website is relevant to what this person has just typed in. And as you can also see in their heading, they actually have best basketball shoes and jumping within their title as well. And if you scroll down, I'm sure they have some of the keywords in here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the keyword jumping. So here's another example of one of their subtitles, best basketball shoes for jumping. Again, they've used their keyword there as well. As you can see, they've done it again down here, as they've said, if you want to find out more, check out our article on what basketball shoes are best for jumping. And that links off to another page that's relevant to the page about jumping as well, and that's internal linking, and that's a video for another day. But hopefully you can see how these keywords are being used on this particular web page, and you want to adopt a similar thing when you're creating your web pages as well. Now, there's another thing as well to keep in mind when it comes to search engine optimization, and that is authority. The more authoritative your website is, the more of a chance you have of ranking in the major search engines. So think about it this way. Google want to show the best websites possible and the most relevant websites possible to people who use their website. Now, if they can do this quickly and effectively, then Google remains the #1 search engine in the world. So how do you prove to Google that your website deserves to be ranked highly for the keywords that you want your website to be ranking for? Well, you kind of need to be developing your authority. There's two main types of authority, and the first is your domain authority. Now, this speaks to how authoritative your website is as a whole. And the second is your page authority. This speaks to how authoritative a specific page on your website is. Now, Moz actually have a Chrome extension called the Moz Bar tool, which allows you to quickly identify how authoritative a particular page on your website is and how authoritative your website is as a whole. And I'll leave a link to the Moz Bar in the description down below. So one of the ways to build up the authority of your website is by having backlinks. So a backlink is when one website links to your website. And so, for example, you might do a guest post, you might be a guest contributor to a blog that's within your industry, and you write a topic for that website, and then you leave a link back to your website, potentially in the author bio section. Now, Google can actually see those links going back to your website, and that's kind of like a thumbs up from that website to say, hey, yeah, I endorse that website. This is a good website that has good information. So the more high authority websites that you have linking back to your website is a great signal, and that can help you to increase your authority. Also, if you're producing really great content on your website as well in the form of blog articles, then these blog articles can get shared as well across social media, and these are known as social shares, and this can also help to enhance your overall authority within the eyes of Google. So there are also other metrics that help to determine how well your website could potentially rank in the major search engines. Now, these factors are all to do with usability. How usable is your website? How user-friendly are different aspects of your website and web pages? Now, one of these aspects is your page speed. Now, you can actually use the free Google page speed test, which allows you to determine how quickly your web page loads currently, both with mobile devices and on desktop devices. And this tool also gives you really interesting insight into how you could potentially improve the speed of your website. As well as this, you want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly as well, and Google have a mobile friendly test tool as well that you can utilize to make sure that your website is optimized for mobile phones and different devices as well. This can also impact how well your website is performing in the major search engines. As well as this, you want to make sure that your website is secured, that you're using HTTPS. Now, this is fundamental, particularly if you're taking payments from your website. This can really impact how well you perform in the major search engines. So just make sure that you buy that SSL certificate and that your website is secured. You can get that from your hosting company. If you're using WordPress, whoever you're using to host your company, contact them about adding a certificate to your website. And if you see HTTPS before the www when you go to your website, then that means your website is secure. If you don't see that, then you're going to want to contact either your web developer or whoever's hosting your website and ask them if they can upgrade and get you an SSL certificate, because that's really important. As well as this, you want to make sure that your web page and website in general is easy for people to use. It should be easy to navigate from one page to another page, maybe using a simple silo structure where people can actually go from one menu to another menu and quickly and easily access the information that they want to access. And you also want to make your text easy to read as well. And if you can have a combination of multimedia, so images and videos and text as well on your website where applicable and where appropriate, this can also help user experience too. I highly recommend starting a blog for your website and blogging regularly, blogging often. As I mentioned before in this video, the more pages you have on your website, the more opportunities you have to be found in search for different keywords. But if you're selling some sort of e-commerce product, then there's probably loads of questions that people have surrounding your product. For example, if you are selling some sort of basketball equipment, there's loads of questions people have about what's the best basketball equipment to buy. And if you can answer those questions in the form of blog articles, then you can get these articles ranked in Google for longer tail keywords. And this is a way to really build some authority, as these keywords can start ranking for you and people are sharing these articles as well if they're really useful. And it's a way that Google kind of get familiar with coming back to your website. So you're teaching Google to come back to your website often and index it, because there's always something new happening on your site. Blogging is also a great way to create new pages on the fly, and it's really easy to do so. You might only have 5 or 6 products that you're selling on your website, but there's loads of articles that you can write that would appeal to your target customer, and this will just help to bring additional traffic to your website from the major search engines. Now, lastly, you have a tool called the Google Search Console. This is where you can actually sign up for an account and submit your website directly to Google. So if you have a new website, it might take a while for Google to come across your site and identify your website. You can bypass this process by signing up for a free Google Search Console account. I'll leave the link in the description down below, and you can submit a map of your website to Google, and Google will be able to identify each and every page on your website. If you do submit your map, then they'll be able to see when you make changes to your website, adding pages and taking pages away. Within Google Search Console, you can actually see any errors that Google have when it comes to crawling your website. And they will also send you emails as well if there's any major errors they're having with your site, so you can make amendments and changes and it won't affect your ranking positions in Google. So these are just some of the basics to what search engine optimization is. I have an entire playlist on search engine optimization where I go a little bit deeper into some of these topics. So I'll leave that playlist in the description down below. But if you haven't already, I highly recommend that you download the formula. Within the formula, I speak about search engine optimization and how you can utilize it as part of your overall marketing strategy for your website. It's completely free to download. As you can see, there's a copy next to me. I will also leave a copy somewhere in the screen and also in the description down below. So make sure you go and download it completely free. But I really do hope that this video brought you value. And if it did, then please click the like button down below and make sure you share this video with a friend. If you have any additional questions or comments, then leave them for me in the comment section. But until next time, watch some of my other great videos. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more awesome business related content. Have a great day. Make sure you download the formula, and I will see you soon.